What's up, guys? Welcome to your big 100th Android tutorial for the new Boston. If you've made it this far, give yourself a pat on the back. Yeah, I don't know about that intro. I was trying to do something crazy since I'm going crazy. After making 100 tutorials, talking to the computer screen, you tend to go crazy a little bit. I don't know why Bucky isn't in an insane asylum right now, because he's done so many. But what we're going to do in this tutorial is learn how to load data with this button load. And in the next tutorial, after this one, I'm going to show you guys how to properly save and properly load data, because yeah, this is the frame. This is, I mean, nothing new for the most part. This is how you do it with the file input and output stream, but there's a better way that you want to code. So I'll show you that in the next tutorial. But first, let's get into it. Let's start our load button here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a file input stream now. So we're going to just say file input stream, and we're going to call this FIS for file input stream, because again, file output stream is to save data, and this is to kind of read the data, load the data, all that good stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this equal to open file input instead of open file output like we did within our onCreate method. And again, just within these parentheses, we're just going to say our file name. Again, that's our string reference, kind of our path name. And again, we're going to have to surround this with a try and catch. So we're just going to say surround with try and catch right here. And within here, after we open it, we want to set up a byte array. So what we're going to do is we're going to say byte array, which is basically going to read all the data, all the bytes and all that stuff. So we're just going to say data array, something like that. And what we're going to set this equal to is a new byte, and we're going to reference within our square brackets here just getting the length of our file input stream. So we're going to say file input stream dot available, and basically that's going to return the amount of bytes this file input stream has. So it's just setting our array up to the same length as however many bytes is in our file input stream. So again, we get an error. We just need to add another catch clause to our surrounding try, and that's input output stream exception. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say while file input stream dot read does not and we're going to say read data array like this, and I'll explain everything as we go here, and does not equal -1. So what we're doing here, let me just talk over everything real quick. We set up a file input stream, which is referring to our file name, which is that string reference. Then we're setting up a byte array, and that's basically going to get the length of our input stream, how many bytes it is, and then what we're going to do is say while it is not equal to -1. So what it's going to do is it's going to read through our file input stream, and once it reads through everything, it's going to set this read up to -1. So once it hits -1, we know we've read everything for the most part. So that's just what this means. It's pretty standard in Java and all that stuff. But just know that this -1 just means we've read everything for the most part from our file input stream, which has the length or this many bytes for the most part, because that's what we set up here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a string. So we're going to call this collected, something like this. And above our try, we're just going to set up this string here. So string collected initially equals null when we hit our load button. And then we're going to set this collected string equal to a new string. And within here, we're going to say our data array. And then all we have to do is close our file input stream. So what we can do is we can either say like close right here, Or what we can do is kind of refer to, just to get again familiar with the try, catch, and finally. We can also say finally, referring to after everything's done. We kind of did this with our splash activity, I believe. So we're just going to say finally file input stream dot close, and it's going to give us an error because we set up our file input stream within this try. So what we're also going to do is just copy this or cut it, and then just say file input stream, and again above our try we're just going to hit paste equals null. And then we have to surround this with a try and catch as well. So we're just going to hover over and say try and catch. And it looks kind of complicated, but it's really not that bad. And that's pretty much this tutorial. Let me talk through everything that we've done. So basically we set up a string called collected. This is going to be all of our data that we read. We set up a file input stream, and both of those are null. And then once we try to get our file input stream set up, what we're going to set that up to equal is opening file input, referring to the file or referring to the string name, which is basically, you can think of as a path of some sort. And then what it's going to do is it's going to read that file input stream and get how many bytes is available. And then it's going to set up a byte array, which we call data array. Then while our file input stream is reading all of those bytes for the most part, and as long as that's not equal to -1, because when it equals -1 we're done. It's going to break out of our while loop. And while that's happening, we set up the string, which was null, and now it's just going to equal a new string according to the data that it's reading for the most part. Again, our bit array. As it cycles through this while loop, it'll add to that as well. So it's going to basically be whatever is our data that we saved. And then we have these catch exceptions for file not found and file or input output exception. And then we say finally, after everything's done, just close our input stream, and we need to surround that with a try and a catch as well. So input output exception here as well. So hopefully you guys kind of understand that. It's not too difficult for the most part. And also what we can do is we can now set our text view equal to the data that we read. So all we're going to do is say our text view, which we call data results, and then dot set text, and then we're going to set it up to this collected string that we read for the most part. So now it's going to change that text view when we hit the load button. Yeah, this does look a lot more complicated for the most part than the shared preferences. And if you, again, you're just saving one variable like a string, you probably want to use shared preferences. But I just want to get you guys familiar with the input-output streams and working that way, because when we work with external data, that's kind of the concepts that we're going to have to know. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing, and I'll catch you guys in the next tutorial. Peace.